Good morning everyone, today we're checking out a brand new video from TrueGreen7 of him redesigning a few new Mega Pokemon. And honestly, yeah, a few of the new designs do need redesigning. I mean, look at just Mega Pyro. We all look at that, but still, look at that thing. That guy is just big mane. That's it, there's nothing else. Well, so let's hop in and see if True Green can do anything better than Nintendo themselves.
Hey guys, Ron here, and Mega Pokemon are the most popular gimmick Pokemon ever introduced.
Like
but
Mega
while most
Beedrill,
Mega Evolutions
nice.
in the past were well received, the latest batch from Legends EA are far more controversial and divisive. Perhaps Game Freak is designing these with a different philosophy when it comes to Megas, or nostalgia has clouded fans into forgetting that most Megas are just the original Pokemon but more. Of course, in reality, it's a bit of both.
I mean, a few at least add like a new concept here and there. But yes, most do just suffer from it gets bigger syndrome.
And regardless, there are a group of new Megas who may have a fine concept, but not the best execution. And today, I'm going to attempt to redesign them, not necessarily to claim that my ideas are better, but rather to showcase what I would have preferred in my own head. There will be a bunch of viewers that prefer the originals, but I hope you appreciate this look into my mind. Obviously, there will be spoilers for the DLC Mega Evolutions, and to explain why I chose the ones I picked to redesign, I will be making a tier list for your viewing pleasure. If you are wondering what I think of every single new Mega in these games, you're in the right place. Let's begin with the Megas introduced in the main game of ZA. Mega Dragonite was the first to be announced. I very much thought he was underwhelming when I first saw it, but the more I think about it, I still like him as much as Dragonite, so it's not like I dislike this design.
Yeah, if anything, I would have to give the design like maybe B+. I mean, it's decent, it's okay, but it's not really worthy of A, in my opinion.
I'd prefer it to change a bit more, but the concept itself is still exactly what I wanted, which was a Dragonite with more Dragonair elements. B. Mega Victory Bell was super controversial when it was announced, but I generally think this is a...
Oh, detail. Easily detail. It's just a swollen Victory Bell. That's all it is. Detail.
It's a great Mega. It's funny and entertaining while being intimidating. The concept of a pitcher plant producing too much acid and constricting itself in order to shut its mouth is very compelling. It makes for a good monster design. It also remixes the appeal of Victory Bell. It always seemed unapproachable and aloof, but now it's more expressive, which I like. I'll give it an A. Mega Malamar is another banger. To be fair, I'm a huge Malamar fan. It's in my...
Okay, Mega Malamar. That design is at least interesting, plus it's constantly swirling its tendrils to hypnotize people. That one would actually be my first A tier.
Top 20, and technically I like Malamar's base design more, but the tentacles forming a brain, exaggerating its hypnotic powers, and forming what looks like an entire nervous system is pretty dope. It's super pretty while being horrifying.
It is nice.
That makes for some of the most striking art. Another A. Mega Hawlucha is exactly what I expected it to be, but kind of less magnificent.
Yeah, Mega Hawlucha, again, doesn't really have much going for it, and so I'll also have to put it in D tier. Now, I'm not hating on it. It's just not much going on. It's like a wrestler that changed outfits, which is technically what it did.
In its execution. It's wider with a color shift and doesn't add to the luchador concept that Hawlucha doesn't already have. I must admit, Hawlucha was an already perfectly designed Mon. This is a fine Mega Evolution, but not among the most impressive, so a high B is where I put it. Mega Drampa is extremely badass, turning the white fluffy cloud-like fur into storm clouds and maxing out his aura to look like a wise master's final form in a shonen anime is definitely the way to go for a Drampa Mega. It could be S tier if I didn't initially think it was a palette swap in my mind, so after much deliberation it deserves a high A. S tier is reserved for my personal favorites, so A is as high as a Mega can go without it being one that I connected with. Mega Starmie is probably the Mega you thought I'd redesign first, but while I do think it's relatively lazy in the execution of its Mega, so it's in the bottom third of Mega designs, it is extremely entertaining, and I very much get it now. It's supposed to be a parody of the Starfish alien and Starman trope. An alien taking human form and acting as such, despite clearly not being remotely human passing, is an established and recognizable concept in Japanese media. There are plenty of ways to do this better, so it gets a C, but I generally find it fun in motion in the game, and redesigning it would
It's a
kind of
little
take away
funny,
from the
I'll
goofs
give
and
you
gaffes.
that.
There are plenty of great redesigns online already, so I'll mention that whenever there's a bad design that I won't redesign myself. Mega Pyroar will actually be the first Mega I redesign. Pyroar is based on lions in European heraldry. It's hard to say heraldry. Combined with a
Heraldry.
Daimonji, which
That is
you'd
difficult.
recognize in the Fire Blast move animation. I'm a fan of Pyroar.
Yeah, now, while Mega Pyro is very bad, I would actually have to put it in C tier. It's not totally terrible, but it is still better than Mega Stormy.
And wanted to see a more regal Mega. What they gave us felt like the laziest execution of what I wanted. Yes, they
definitely.
expanded
Come on,
the kanji origin by making the main look like the character for Blaze, while also kind of making it seem like a king in their fancy regalia. But goddamn, does it simply not work? So here's the thing.
They
in
could have
practically
done
all the
more.
Megas I'm redesigning today, I'm going to try to retain the original intent, and even perhaps the concept, instead of showing you the concept I would have liked to see. To showcase that in reality, most of these problems are down to execution, not the idea. So let's make a Mega Pyroar that has the mane that looks like a famous symbol, while also looking like a French king. This
Now
is
it's
tough because
looking
it's
like
such
a
an
crest.
unpopular Mega, and I'm technically going to do a similar concept because I want to keep the intent intact, but instead of Japanese characters as the main, I want to take inspiration from the fleur-de-lis and continue the French side of the inspiration. A big reason the original Mega looks weird is that it's trying to be both the female and male Mega, so it has that long hair on the top, which I will do as well, but instead of just combining both mains, I'm creating a new one that looks like a fleur-de-lis, and the big wig that Louis XIV wore, which I suspect is the inspiration for the mane on Mega Pyroar. I'm
Okay.
gonna even give it some white fur underneath its mane to look like a 1700s fashion, and most importantly, most of the fur will have tons of segments and tufts to
Now
look
this
like
is
the
being
unkempt
pretty
hair
good.
of lions in heraldry and emblems. Here it is. These Megas won't have any info since they basically have the
Mega
same lore types and
Pyro.
stats and eventual abilities as their real counterparts. Hopefully the
Lot
very
better.
boring stance is understood as an homage to the awkward poses and expressions that kings had in their old paintings. I don't want to hear anybody say that they'd prefer a Manticore or Pyroar with fire wings or anything badass when the whole point was to show how we could pull off the same concept as Game Freak, but potentially better. Potentially.
Yeah.
I genuinely want to know what you think of this redesign. Let's continue. Mega
Not a whole new level up, just a new look, that's all. Mega Chandelier. Now, honestly, I do actually kind of like this, but it's still not as good as it could be. I saw one person redesign it before, but make it be upside down, give it like a heavy spider motif. So I'll give it B tier, high B tier though, B+.
Chandelier is basically what we all expected, just a bigger chandelier, and I can't fault it for that since it looks good, but it's the most bare bones execution of the concept, so B. Mega Excadrill is also an example of a Mega that I think looks cool, and I
Low B tier because I don't want to put it in C tier, and I honestly love this guy. Now, I've not really been a fan of the Pokemon itself, but let's just say one anime did get me to like drill weapons. So, row, fight the power.
would be glad to have one, but it's not the most impressive execution of the exact concept we were all thinking. It already was a drill, so a bigger drill isn't genius, but I still enjoy looking at a big drill, so another B. Mega Frostlass is incredible. I like what I'm seeing.
I'll give it
I may
C.
like it even more than Frostlass, honestly. It looks exactly like what I would imagine when thinking about a Yuki Onna. High A. Mega Scrafty makes total sense. Its
Unfortunately,
shedded skin is now
low
white,
C.
like how lizards look like when they do what lizards do. I can't really ask for more, but since it still feels a little more like a palette swap, it's a B. Just good, but it could be better. Mega Phalanx becomes a Voltron.
Yeah, now this guy I actually do really like, which is why I'm pausing to talk about it. But they could have done so much more. Like, I don't know, put another one on the top to actually look like the head. Because right now it looks like a decapitated Voltron, Gundam, Megazord, or whatever you want to compare it to. Well, so I'll give that low B as well.
It's what I wanted, honestly, but it's a bit clunky in execution. It's basically just a reconfigured Phalanx, which doesn't feel all too mega. I mean, what's stopping them from doing this in their normal state? It's funny, but could be tweaked to be better than a B. Mega Barbaracle is up my alley. I've always been a Barbaracle
I'll
fan,
give it a
so
high
expanding
C.
on what I already liked to make it seem like a monster war god is pretty sick. It looks like a Mega. This is basically what Megas usually are, so I'll give it an A. I'm sure others would put it lower on the list, but its placing makes sense
I
for
did.
someone who already likes Barbarical. Mega Scolipede is pretty rad. I don't think it's
Hey.
what I would have thought a Mega Scolipede would look like, reverting to a state
Yes, I'm being a little biased. I like the Scolipede line. It's one of my favorite bugs. A-tier.
akin to Whirlipede with armor inspired by its Prevo, but the colors are impeccable and it's simply a more badass form of a Pokemon I already liked a lot. Another A. It's not my favorite concept or design, but it may be the one I can't stop looking at, so it must be great. Mega Clefable. It was close to being redesigned because I would make
I'll
it
give it
look
a
a bit
B.
more like an alien or astronaut,
Low
but honestly,
B.
I don't think that's even what they were going for. Perhaps an acorn or fancy ornament as well. It's pretty cute and can fly, which
It's
is
very
what I
fatty.
wanted from a Clefable Mega, but it's not necessarily my vibe. So B, still good. Mega Dragalge is fabulous.
Ooh,
Honestly,
that is
this is
kinda
basically
good.
the exact amount
A.
of change I think a Mega should have. It's an intricate and ascended version of the existing design with a considerable change of silhouette and form, but it's still clearly the same Mon instead of a full-on evolution. I have no real problem with it.
okay.
A. Mega Skarmory is growing on me. I originally
I
felt like it was just a
know.
golden Skarmory,
D.
and it's lower than I wanted it to be because of this, but the way the talons are animated in the game clearly indicates a more cage-like inspiration. It's not the direction I would have gone in, and there are other ways
I'm sorry, Ron, but I do have to disagree with you because, first of all, this thing literally is just Skarmory but gold. And yes, it does have some longer talons or wings or whatever. There's almost nothing else. I mean, it's still a flying type, so I honestly have to give it detail. Sorry, man.
to execute this idea in a more creative way, but it's still a cool looking Mon, so low B. Mega Electros was out of left field, but now I understand that it
I like
expands
it.
on the fact
Hey.
that hagfishes secrete a mucus by giving it these Electros decoys with plus and minus fangs, ultimately looking like those Japanese windsocks that look like fish. At the end of the day, it's prettier than normal Electros, but not what most fans want to see,
I
so
give it an
B.
A.
And now, before moving on to the special Megas introduced in the main game, I do want to redesign the Pokemon announced along with the DLC, Mega Raichu. The whole idea
X
is that
or Y?
these two look like an X and a Y,
Kind of both.
while receiving
I get it.
either a body plan or color scheme from Pikachu. I think that is absurd and basically the opposite of what I want a Mega Raichu to be. The way they shoehorned the X and Y shape is egregious, and the fact that
Yeah.
they couldn't let Raichu stand out on its own is kind of annoying. I don't want it to look like Pikachu.
I'll
There's
agree.
a potentially hidden
Detail.
inspiration in these two, given the fangs and club-like tail. I think Gorochu, the unused Raichu evolution that was inspired by Onis, was a source for these two's megas. So I'm going to create one Mega Raichu that is heavily inspired by that exact origin. Therefore, technically
Mega
not going in my own
Raichu
direction,
Z.
since I said I'd retain the concept of the original megas, and I think the concept is to look like Gorochu here. So it's going to retain the things that the original megas have, and it'll gain a lightning rod horn and ears that look like devil horns. We're basically making an Ogre Raichu. The whole idea is to make sure it still
Nice.
looks like a Raichu and not an evolved form. It'll have a neck fur that resembles clouds and buff arms that basically are an extension of Raichu's already blunt hands. Its tail is basically a giant club it uses to attack with, and it will have this
I
electric
like
spike
this.
pattern inspired by Onis. Basically the same inspiration
Pretty
as
damn good.
Electabuzz. And now, hopefully the shading has elevated the design in your head. I love this unconventional lighting for Pokemon key art. I need to make more Pokemon with their own light source, because this glow helps this be one of my favorite pieces I've made this year.
I do
This
agree.
is my
This is
ultimate
nice.
Mega Raichu. I think
Lot
it has
better
the
than the
perfect
game.
amount of details, the right balance of exciting and new, while still naturally expanding on what Raichu already was. Let's finish up the main game Megas with the starter trio and legends, quote-unquote legends, and they're not. One of them is not legendary. Mega Meganium is almost what I expected. I mean, I knew there would be more flowers, but I didn't realize
I mean, we all expected it to pretty much just bloom like that, but it definitely could have had more to it. So C tier.
that would be it. Sure, there are some nice frills and accents, and at the end of the day, it's cute and pretty, so a B makes sense, but it's the least creative Mega of the three. Mega Embor is by far my favorite, so
Yeah, at least Mega Embo actually has a lot going for it, so I'll actually give him an A tier. Now, while I do love Fraligator, and that is my boy, unfortunately, it's gonna have to go into B tier.
considering it has the concept that makes total sense and executes it in the way that makes it substantially different from normal Embor, I dig it. Mega Fraligator is the one that warrants a redesign the most. I would have redesigned
Sorry,
it if there
Fraligator.
weren't already so many good fixes online. I'm totally down with the idea of its spikes becoming a hood-like fin that resembles a totodile when clamped down, and the way the arms form the lower jaw of the silhouette is pretty smart. But this is almost like
so
a beta
nice.
version of this design. It's half-baked. It needs one more pass to look more natural and honestly more badass. I like it when its hood is down, and I'm not as bothered as some other people by the toilet seat when it's, up. But when I think of it objectively, it's in the bottom half
Still
of
could've been
Megas
better.
in this game at least. Mega Floette's flower is pretty,
Ooh.
and I'm not going to fault it for the Mega simply being a fusion with its flower, with pretty much zero change to its main
I'll
body,
give that
but
B.
it simply
It's
isn't that
basic.
interesting in the long run. There's nothing wrong with the design though, so low B makes sense to me. Mega
Agreed.
Zygarde is cool, love the gun. Honestly, I'm a big fan of how the outer black cells peel away to form the cannon, revealing the
Yeah, one thing about this Mega, I'll actually be small to talk about this. One thing I actually do love about this Mega is that when you actually first see it in-game, okay, spoiler right now, so you may just want to mute me for a couple seconds. When you first see it in-game, this part actually lights up with the respective colors. The form first an X, then a Y, and then a Z. Before it actually blasts its Nihil Light. Nihil Light. Man, that's kind of difficult to say too fast. But still, just big ass gun.
the green inside, but the only thing preventing it from entering the A tier is the fact that I think I like 100% Zygarde more. So like a B plus makes sense.
Oh yeah, B+,
Obviously I had a fantastic
easily.
time seeing this in the game, but that just means I like how it was included in the plot more than the Mega design itself. Oh yeah, by the way, we're only really focusing on design here. I don't care about battle prowess, that's not part of the ranking
Oh,
at
yeah,
all.
no.
There's still a
Design
group
only.
supposedly in the main game that I'm saving for after I redesign the next Mon that was announced ahead of the DLC, Mega Zeraora. I'm going to be more harsh than I think this Mega deserves, but it's mostly about the context surrounding the Mega than the design itself. You see, Zeraora has always been my least favorite mythical. It's such a nothing Pokemon with zero lore or reason to exist other than promoting a movie. That would be totally fine if the design
outside the States, I don't think anyone really got it.
and wasn't the most generic, and if it didn't have the proportions of a mascot costume. So the Mega had a chance to expand on its lore, concept, and design, and what did they do? Literally just turn it black.
Black and
Obviously,
blue.
some of its patterns and accents are expanded on in meaningless ways,
I'll give
but
it a
the
C
point is
tier
that
as
it doesn't
well.
really have a concept, just like the base form. So I'm putting it in the C tier and redesigning it. Now I know some people would definitely prefer the original here because I'm going to turn it quadrupedal and super fluffy
what?
from static electricity. Dude will be
Oh,
huge, with
okay.
giant paws, an excited expression instead of a brooding one, and he'll retain the Nekomata-inspired twin tails. What's funny is that this basically has all the stuff the original one
Yeah, I'll
has,
kind of give
like
that.
the horn and chest protrusions, but it's far less generic looking compared to regular or Mega Zeraora. Putting it on all fours also helps it finally not look like a mascot costume. I was afraid that it took up the same niche as Raikou and Luxray, but honestly, that was my
Maybe a
initial
little.
problem with Zeraora. We didn't need another electric cat, but at least this one goes in the fat cat route. That's fun. Now before moving on to the Megas revealed within the game's DLCs, let's talk about what is probably the best batch despite being given to us in the absolute worst way, the Kalos starters. Mega
Here
Chestnut
we go.
expands on everything that made Chestnut great. The colors are better, the armor is more badass, and the way it attacks is even more entertaining.
It's a full-on knight.
It is, in my opinion, a perfect Mega Evolution. Chestnut was always in the bottom half of Grass Starter Final Evolutions for
Low
me,
A
and if
tier.
this was its original design, it would have been way higher. S tier for sure. Mega Delphox was also a complete upgrade, and that's what this gimmick should be about,
Mid-A
righting the
tier.
wrongs of the previous design. Delphox is an okay Pokemon, but in terms of Fire, Starter, Final Evolutions, it is my least favorite. But this is amazing. Its inspirations are pretty blatant, so I don't have to explain why it nails the wizard look. And the colors are beautiful. Another S. Mega Greninja solidifies this group as the best batch. It's
And
great
of course,
too. I'm a big fan
high
of Shinobis
A-tier.
nowadays, so it floating
Not
upside
good.
down on a
Mid
giant
A-tier.
water shuriken makes total sense to me. I love the added black and lighter blue to contrast with each other, but ultimately it doesn't necessarily improve from the already amazing design that Greninja has. So it's an A for me. Nothing wrong with it technically, but not the one that blew me away the most. There were also 3 Megas revealed before the DLC was released. Mega Chimecho has a dual fold concept. It gains a group of chimes, but then one big ornament that looks like a Chingling. It's a bit much, but also that's kind of the point when you have a
I'll
Pokemon
give
based
that
on a
B tier.
decorative sound maker. It's obnoxious a bit, but that's the point. I'd say this is as good as a B plus can be. Borderline A.
Agreed.
Same as Mega Baxcalibur. I'm a fan of this Pokemon,
Big
and
ass
the Mega,
sword.
while not the most clever, is as
Low
cool
A
or even
tier.
cooler than Baxcalibur. There are a bunch of great redesigns online or simply alternative concepts of a Mega
No, you know what? I'll give Baxcalibur S tier.
Baxcalibur that do it justice, but I can't say I don't think this is sick. B+. Mega Lucario Z is incredibly pretty.
That
I'm
actually is
super
pretty
down for a
nice.
more feminine looking Lucario
Low
Mega
A
with
tier.
colors that are weirdly soothing. That combination is so aesthetically pleasing to me, as well as the patterns and pose. A tier. Let's finally delve into the Megas that would only have been seen if you played the DLCs, so major spoilers ahead. Mega Tatsugiri is basically all three forms on a platter. It's not the worst idea, but it's definitely
Not just any platter, but a platter that literally looks just like the Mega symbol. But still also not that much going for it, so a C tier as well.
the one that would require the least amount of effort. It may be a personal thing, but I always thought a Mega Tatsugiri would level up its draconic nature and make it look like a dragon roll or even tempura, like fried tempura shrimp. That's why I'm gonna redesign it as the sushi I thought it would always look like when evolved. So I'm making it one giant serpent with classic Chinese dragon elements and then bringing in the sushi roll armor. Instead of Mega Tatsugiri magically summoning the two other forms, the sushi rolls will help it split into three forms. The orange
Ooh,
on top,
that's clever.
the yellow middle, and the fried tempura pink tail. I think this is a better way to incorporate all
That's
three
good.
forms while finally giving Tatsugiri the body shape of a dragon. Even the little inflatable
Oh, and something else is that along with whichever form you actually mega could determine the color. Like if it was the orange one, orange head, yellow head, so on and so on.
sack that looks like rice on its chin mimics an Asian dragon's beard. It's got so much while
Well,
looking relatively
scrub,
simple.
that ain't no
like this
field.
could be a normal evolution of Tatsugiri, but
Maybe
it's
like a
technically just
goatee.
three Tatsugiris sewn together. It's a fine balance. Mega Absol Z is neat. It was a
Oh,
fun surprise when I saw
S
it,
tier.
but I still kind of prefer the original Mega. The contrast
I
of
don't.
white and black is far more striking than black and gray, and the red wing claw isn't the most natural looking, although that may be the point. I'll give it a B for now. Mega Garchomp Z is fine. I think I still very much prefer
High
the other
A.
Mega, but this is still a mighty fine Mega. It just has tough competition. B. Mega Crabominable is an upgrade for me.
C
I
tier.
like Crabominable, and yet this elevates it. The Ice Fists look incredibly good in the game, and the
Give it
cape
a
makes
C
it
tier.
seem way cooler. I'm giving it an A. Mega Skullvillain ain't terrible. I like how they leaned into the
also
dino
give that a
aspect.
C tier.
The seeds are a clever way to add spikes, but the extra pepper tie is tacked on. I'm fine with the ruffian aesthetic, but it doesn't feel the most natural. B. Mega Golisopod is a downgrade from the original. I dig.
Now I do love Golisopod, and I want to put that high, but the form still doesn't have much to it, so I'll give it low B.
I can appreciate the unconventional body, but it's barely a concept. It's just Golisopod with worse colors and an awkward stance. I'm a major Golisopod fan, so I had high
Same.
expectations. Perhaps that's why I'm putting it in C. Mega Staraptor almost disappointed me,
I'll
mostly
give it
because
C as well.
I could barely tell what it looked like as I battled it, but once I analyzed it, they did a great job. Dude looks as intimidating as it should be. Usually I prefer
agreed, but
contrast,
yeah,
but the
C.
grayer colors and scars help make it look experienced. A. Mega Glimora. It was rather disappointing. I always felt
tier.
that Glimora was underwhelming and hoped that a Mega would expand on its concept. Unfortunately, it simply reconfigured its petals and revealed a bulb. It's barely a concept and basically the same design but shifted around. C. Mega Golurk isn't my favorite, but it's not the worst.
Ooh.
I like the idea of its spirit
High
no longer
B
being
tier.
able to be contained by its golem shell, but honestly, they showcase this concept in a pretty straightforward way. I'm not going to redesign it because I think the changes I'd make would be minor. I think I need more time to understand it though. It's in low B for now, but maybe high B in the future. Mega Meowstic is legendary. This is how you combine a male and
tier.
female Pokemon into one Mega and make a psychic Harlequin cat. It makes sense both for the animal and the concept and looks fantastic.
I mean, I do agree with you on all of that, but it's still not really that much, so C tier.
This is peak aura. I was always an Esper kind of guy. Love that thing. Meowstic was cool but far from my favorite, and now I'm proud to say that it has an S tier Mega. Mega Magearna gets the dub for being in its original
A
red and
tier.
gold color scheme.
Easy.
I dig that idea, but other than that, it's not the most interesting change. It's a robot. They could have easily given it any shape, but it's practically the same with some elements moved around. I'd redesign it, but honestly, the changes would simply be to make its legs long and the bob that it has more noticeable. Like, this could have been a badass android, or I guess gynoid, with a 50s aesthetic. Low B. If this video does amazingly, I'd consider a part 2 and redesign Mega Magirna. Mega Heatran goes in A for doing exactly what it should have, making it look like a low Heatran that consumes and melts. A rampaging monster that I honestly think should have been Heatran's ultimate form ages ago. And the final Mega on the list, and the last one I'm going to redesign, is Mega Darkrai. I actually like this. It goes in B tier. I'm a big fan.
I mean, I do agree, definitely B tier, but it does still need a redesign, because, well, look at that thing. I mean, when it actually has the head pulled in, it looks like a giant evil floating eye, but when it looks like this, it looks... I'll just be honest, it looks like a fat Darkrai that tipped over.
And the body horror direction it goes in, instantly conveying how Darkrai is suffering, but I think I have my own simple way of making it look mangled and under the spell of its own nightmare, without simply turning it sideways like Mega Darkrai does. So instead of sideways Darkrai, I'm going to have its head retract to its back to highlight the body horror trope and make it look like it's unconscious. It will now have a giant eye coming out of the mouth-like collar that it has, as if possessed by its dream-inducing body, which I assume is kind of the concept of the original Mega anyways. I wish the long, scary legs of Darkrai were fully visible when battling Mega Darkrai, so having it float like this highlights these scary legs, which aren't present when you normally battle a Darkrai.
Now this is good.
The finishing piece is the halo on its head that just feels right, honestly. Almost like an indication that it's under a spell. We're definitely taking inspiration from Slender Man here.
That's better.
The battle in the DLC tried its best to look like other RPG bosses, and I think this fully manifests their original intent. This makes me want to make forms of other legendaries, because I love how this turned out. Almost like the eye is looking at the moon, channeling its powers before turning around and attacking you. As this big eye blinks, it's technically also closing its mouth. It's the definition of horror in my book. Hopefully you aren't too scared. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more Fakemon content.
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.